Yeah, that's a question. And that's an interesting question. Are investors, both of you, ready to address the core issues of India as a developing country, which are different than developed countries? Are they ready to invest in such ventures? So the issues here are different from the issues that developed countries may face. So are they maybe you can respond to that.
So I think that's a very relevant question, and the issues of India are very different. So I would say India is a country of nearly 130 crore population, and I would say again tens of thousands of issues and problems to be sorted out. But that's the opportunity of India. It's impossible for the government of any country to solve so many problems. This country with 130 crore population of different economic classes, the diversity which is there in India is a problem at one end, but also an opportunity for millions of entrepreneurs to solve that. I would put that as a number one thing. Just imagine there is a country where there are 10 crore, 5 crore rich people, 20 crore middle class people, then poor people, very poor people. Economic straight off, everything is 10 crore, 20 crore, 30 crore, which is more than the populations of a lot of countries in the world. For every class you need healthcare, you need premium healthcare, you need middle class healthcare, you need affordable healthcare. You need education for poor, you need education for middle class, there is premier education. You need food, you need clothes. So these are opportunities, and there are entrepreneurs which are doing this, and I think that's what is the India's funding story about. If somebody asked this question, I would say the Indian funding story is about this only. So there are people who are thinking that I am only going to set up a business which is financial inclusion for poor, and huge funding has happened around that. There are businesses which have set up affordable healthcare. Narayan Hridayalaya is the biggest example. Got a lot of funding. There are businesses who are sending up because there is not even I would say, serious city healthcare system is also not there. I am not talking of tier 2, tier 3 and tier 4 system classes. So there is funding happening all around on people who are giving solutions in education, for primary education, higher education, vocational trainings. It's all happening. So I would just say that whoever has asked this question, just imagine that because of all these reasons that India's problems are there, agriculture, infrastructure, everywhere there is huge funding opportunities, huge entrepreneurial opportunities, and huge investment is already pouring in and will continue to pour in.
So anyway, the next question is, who will the investors provide money? An entrepreneur with a new idea or an existing businessman? Is that a banker? If you try to answer this, I think they can supplement. If the banks were providing credit only to an existing businessman, when I was studying, when I was in law stage, the leading business houses of the country were the Birlas, the Tatas, the Mafitlas, the Dalmias, and the Srirams. If you look at these groups, almost three of these groups are, and all of them are, at least 2 or 3 of these groups are not figure much anymore. And if you start preparing the top 10 list of India, it's entirely new names. So it's not that we lend only to the existing business people. We lend to where we see first, because it's not my money to begin with, it's your money again. I'm just a financial intermediary. So we lend where our money is safe, if we try to do that. And we lend where we feel that this is something which we would like to be associated with. Now on the startup space, I think I would like to have some color from others also.
I think there is, in fact, last 4-5 years, I think as India's GDP has grown, and there have been a lot of people who are amassing wealth, and I think the angel investor set particularly has seen a huge amount of growth. So I think it's a different set of capital providers for a startup and a different set of capital providers for established businesses. The issue is really about making sure you get access to the right kind of investor for your stage, because it's no point in going to somebody who doesn't do startup funding and asking and wasting your time and this time. So it is, I think there is, but it's far much more visible today. So if you take the Mumbai Angels, for example, or India Angel Network, or there are enough groups of angels who have got together. There are enough people who are from the corporate world who, after they cross 50, decide that they don't want more of the same and have started doing angel investors on their own and providing mentorship for startup companies. So I think you all are truly fortunate to be in a world in India today where I think people are understanding that there are different horses for different courses, and therefore you just need to do some amount of work before you approach the right kind of person. I don't think it's an issue. It is not either or, it is and.
Great. Yeah, thank you. Another question is, apart from funding, how important is business management skills and business administration? Ravi, if you can respond to this.
No, so absolutely, it's. I think funding comes much later in the evaluation process. As I mentioned earlier, it's not only your idea. First of all, just to set the expectation right of all of you. Today, just to get money on the basis of an idea is tough. You need to, because most of the businesses people are thinking of, if you can start with some small capital, which is yours, with your family or your friend, somebody can do, and you bring a proof of concept out, it's much better chances of getting money. Just on the strength of a PPT presentation, my thought is you struggle to get some money. So, now coming to the business administration, it's very, very critical whenever we go to a lot of existing businesses also. Say I'm talking of equity funding. There are tens of thousands of in India businesses which are doing regular business. But when they go out to try and raise equity capital, most of them struggle. And I just tell all of them one thing I think which should make you understand that, if you're running a small business in a certain way, probably your father is running, as she mentioned, a clinic they're running, but they want to go out and raise equity money, people will just not give them money because they're trying to raise money to run that business at a much larger scale, and whether they have that business management skill or not, it's very critical. So, if to ride a bicycle, you need certain kind of skill. If you're an early stage startup, very small, you need certain kind of skill. But to drive a car, you need a different kind of skill because it's a different machine. It requires different skill. You need to know where the clutch is, where the brake is, and how to stop the car and how to run the car. And people were growing very fast when the companies become bigger. You try to fly that car. So car will not fly. You need a plane to fly. So you need to change your organization from bicycle to make it a car and then make it a plane. If you try to drive a bicycle like a car, it will not run. If you try to fly a car like a plane, it will not fly. So the organization skill, the management capabilities of the entrepreneurs that we try to see is that whether he has the skill. So if his business in the cycle stage, yes, whether he can run that cycle, which is building a team, putting systems and processes, being in control. It's not just selling, it's selling, getting your money back, keeping your customers satisfied, keeping your team satisfied, whether he has a team capabilities or not. It's not easy. There are so many things for him to do, whether he can bring co-founders on board or not. So that's a very, very early stage kind of thing. But a growth business, we start looking at different kind of capabilities because it's becoming a bigger business, turning into a scooter or a car now. So he needs a different kind of skill. So continuous evaluation every investor does, and I think funding is any person with the most brilliant idea, but not a good team, not good capabilities will not get money. They always say venture capitalists, but A category idea with a B team will not be successful, but a B category idea with A category team, A class team will be more successful, more chances of success are there. So we firmly believe in that. The team capabilities are much more. Idea can be little raw, little rough in the beginning, but they will learn on the way. But the capabilities of the team absolutely very, very important for us.
But this question is specifically addressed to you now. Okay, how well are the government schemes working for building a right environment for startups? And this is the last question I will say.
Okay, so government in last I think 4-5 years, there has been a lot of awareness in the governments also about startup culture. To be very frank, even governments didn't know what was this startup culture happening, and they didn't understand it very easily. In fact, there is in the big banking system that we have, there is a joke that the big IT revolution in India in 90s happened without the government, without the banking system. None of them took loans from the banking system, none of them took any grants from the government, none of them took any help from the governments. But suddenly IT became so big that it was employing millions and millions of people in this country. But today, I think we have crossed that. There is a knowledge economy, there is requirement for innovation and startup support. So last 4-5 years, and it's gathering momentum, governments have become very much aware. So there is Department of DIPP, what they call under Commerce Ministry, which has started the Startup India movement. So there is a 10,000 crore fund which they have set up. This 10,000 crore fund, what it is trying to do is, it is trying to create a bigger venture capital community in the country. See, who are the people who invest in startups? You know, it's risk investors only. So last year in India there was about $9 billion of capital, but most of that capital came from US. So India is now a big country, so we need to create our own risk capital also. Typically an Indian, even a rich person, or I would say a resourceful family like all of you, your families, you will find your parents investing in one house, two house, fixed deposits, something in stock markets. Do you think they will invest in startups? They will not invest in startups. So that culture has to be formed of investing in startups. So the government is now trying to create an ecosystem of startups where they are trying to create, they have created a corpus which will invest in venture capital funds. So if somebody is setting up a 100 crore fund, this government fund will put, let's say, 15 to 20, 25 crores in that fund. Based on that, you know, the fund manager goes around and collects more money from more HNIs, more resourceful people, and tells them that I'll invest in funds. So this enlarges the pool of risk capital in the country. That is number one. Number two is government is now giving a lot of support to incubators, which was not there earlier. So incubators are in education institutions, in IITs, engineering colleges, management schools. They're giving them little bit grants also to put some seed funding in companies. And third is creating a policy favorable environment for the companies. So that's also happening now. There are taxation benefits being given to startups and things like that. And my view is that as this momentum grows, as government also understands better and better with every passing year what are the requirements, you will see some more favorable policies and a better environment being created for startups in this country.
I think with that we can probably close the session, and on behalf of my panel, I would like to thank you all. You've been a wonderful audience. Thank you very much.
It is a privilege and a great joy for me to extend a vote of thanks to Mr. Ravi Tyagi, Ms. Bala Deshpande, Mr. Topendra Bhattacharjee and Mr. Arun Mehta, who have contributed in one way or the other to make this conference a grand success. The resource person have brought here with them and shared with us their knowledge and experiences. We understand that you have taken out time of your very important schedule to contribute to this conference. Thank you for your invaluable contribution.
May I have your attention, please? Please be in the auditorium. We are going to start our next session in the next 5 minutes. Research contributors, we are requested to move to another room for paper presentations. Volunteers, please help them out with the directions.
India started her journey as a nation in the 1940s. And so did we at RBL Bank. But our real transformational journey began in 2010 when a new management team of experienced bankers took over during the difficult economic period. Today, India is one of the world's fastest growing economies. and we are one of India's fastest growing private sector banks. As part of this transformation, we envision to build a professionally governed institution and focus on 3 pillars while laying the foundation of growth. Putting in place a robust corporate governance framework and processes, including strengthening our board of directors, broad-basing our shareholder and capital base by raising institutional capital, and building our management team by attracting high-quality and experienced banking professionals. To support our vision, we believe we now have modern technology infrastructure, a comprehensive product suite, and experienced banking professionals. Through our efforts over the last 5 years, we have continuously focused on developing a customer-centric culture. Our approach is to build